Okay, so Nic, phase 5 is trip, don't fall.
Yes.
So what's our paradox?
Okay, so the paradox here is fail, but don't become a failure. So let's talk about the trip. Let's talk about the reality of the trip. I feel like people need a disclaimer. The disclaimer is, because no one tells us this, is that you're actually going to fail for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Especially if you're wanting a bigger life or wanting to change things or create things or whatever it might be. So let's talk about what the trip is and the value side.
And the definition of failure, right? Because failure isn't making a mistake. Failure is, the only real failure is stopping, quitting.
Yeah.
I'm out. Not doing that at all. Not keeping on trying. Getting halfway up the mountain and going back down.
Done.
That's the only real failure. And the rest are just trips, and the trips are inevitable.
Yeah.
And the truth is that no one ever got to the top of the mountain without some trips along the way.
Yeah.
They just didn't. There's no successful person in whatever their field is who didn't make some mistakes.
Yeah.
And in fact, every single one of them would agree that the mistakes sped up the learning process.
Yeah.
So once we understand that, the trips, the small mistakes.
Should be tripping.
Yeah, if we're not
is okay.
tripping, if we're not tripping, what we're attempting isn't challenging enough.
We're not learning either. And I think
we're playing it safe.
That's one thing that you've said to me often is, Nic, accept the losses as the learnings along the way. But it's also getting out of, when we trip, so often we attach these feelings of, well, I'm not good enough, and the guilt and the embarrassment around a trip. But that's not what it is at all. If we can instead flip that and go, but what did I learn from this? Because that learning is about to accelerate me. That's the only way we're going to be able to accelerate, is go, oh, now I know not to go that way.
Yeah.
I need to go this way.
Yeah. And I think, again, back to learning, well, even being a physiotherapist, and let's say you came to me with a neck pain.
Yep.
And I would say, well, how far can you turn your head? So we've got a measure, and then I would try a technique. And then I would say, well, let's retest. Did that help? No, that didn't help. Okay, we'll try something different. Did that work? No, that didn't help. Okay, we'll try something different. Do the technique, test, retest, test and measure is a really cool principle. Did that help? Oh yes, that helped. Okay, let's do more of the thing that works.
Yes.
But unless we're testing and measuring, and the measurement part's really important, because otherwise how do we know if it's working or not?
Yeah.
Then how do we know what works?
Yeah, and this comes back to doing enough, like not stopping before the data, the measure, enough trips are actually in place to be able to go, oh, that does work or that doesn't work. Oh, this is for me or it isn't for me. You know, when we look at it, you've been in some big holes. I've been in holes. Financially, time, all of that. And one of the things that we have to understand is, at some point you have to invest either time or money, which means you also are risking it every time as well. But you have to get one good winner, you may have to bet on 10. So to find that strategy, you might have done it 10 different times. Right? But it was on the 10th go that it's like, that's the one that helps them feel better. And it's the same in business, it's the same in an idea, it's the same in anything that we do. We have to have enough that we can actually test and measure.
Yeah, and you're right, we have to be willing to take the risk. Otherwise, and that's what, again, so many people aren't willing to do, because they want certainty. They think, I'm not going to try that unless you can guarantee that it will work, unless you can guarantee that it will get me there. But the certainty is never there. We're never certain until we actually get there. Never.
Yeah.
It's really important to know that.
Yeah.
That looking for that sense of certainty too early on is keeping a lot of people stuck where they are.
It does. It trips us up because, and we spoke about this the other day, you can calculate the cost in a lot of ways. It's like, well, that course is going to cost me that much, or that's going to take that much of my time, or I'm going to have to do these things. Like, it's very easy to go, this is what needs to be done as a cost point of view, but you can't possibly calculate the upside. And that's what trips us up. And it's like, at some point, if we have to risk or sacrifice or whatever it's called, like I remember my dad and mum were always in business, and people will be like, oh, there's certain things that they sacrifice to achieve a certain result, like to have a certain life. And I'm like, yeah, but people don't realize there's a flip of not sacrificing. You sacrifice by not doing these things as well.
Yeah, and if we kind of delve into sacrificing a little bit more and what is sacrifice actually is, and I think we throw these words around sometimes and they maybe don't hit home.
Yeah.
And the thing about sacrifice is realizing that there's never suddenly going to be some extra money in our bank account to invest in that course or in that business. There's never going to be suddenly an extra spare 2 hours a day that we can spend doing this or spend. That's never going to happen.
Yeah.
We're always going to have to give up something to gain something. And so what is it we're going to give up? We're all busy 24/7.
Yeah.
So which things are we going to stop doing so that we can do this instead? Most people are living at the end of their paycheck every month. So which bit are they going to stop spending? What are they going to change so that it makes them more cash so they have it to invest?
Yeah.
And so that's what sacrifice is ultimately. So again, going back to getting a degree in physiotherapy, it was 4 years of not earning apart from some little part-time jobs to eat. It was 4 years of not having a full-time income. It was 4 years of studying every night and every weekend. That was a sacrifice, basically a 4-year sacrifice. So what sacrifice are you willing to make your dreams come true? And to expect that there won't be those sacrifices along the way is
straight up crazy.
Delusional. Yeah, it's just delusional.
Yeah.